Hi, I'm Rachel Chordash. I am a cooking instructor and director of the Cookwell Corporate Wellness Program at the Culinary Center of Kansas City.
And I'm Leslie Mackey, and I'm the manager of Life Dynamics Health and Wellness at Shawnee Mission Medical Center.
And we've been asked to show you a few things to do with your farmer's market produce. So today we're going to cook a lovely pasta dish full of lots of different vegetables. We're going to use some great things that are in season right now, but we're also going to talk about what you can do throughout the rest of the year. To start us off, I'm just going to start off with a sauce. We're going to make a homemade sauce, and we're going to start off with leeks. Leslie, are you a fan of leeks?
I love leeks.
Leeks are great. They are actually a member of the onion family, closely related to lilies. They're really great for you. They have a lot of antioxidants. If you find leeks in your local farmer's market, they give a great, nice, mild onion texture to your dish. However, if you didn't have them, what else would you use?
Green onions.
Green onions would be perfect. Yeah, green onions would be great, or even a milder yellow onion if you had that at your house and you thought that's what I want to use. So the thing you have to remember about a leek is it comes with this green top and this root at the bottom, and you can't eat the darker green at the top. It's too tough, and the root at the bottom, that would just be gross, so you don't want to eat that. And it also has a lot of sand in it. So what I've done here ahead of time for Leslie and I is to go ahead and cut them in half, cut those parts off, cut them in half, and to clean them out under running water. Just rub out that sand because the sand gets in there. So I'm just going to have Leslie and I both slice some of this up quickly so that we can start our sauce. And really what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into little rings. Think like a half an onion ring is what this looks like. We're going to just slice it up, keeping our fingers out of the way, and saute it in some extra virgin olive oil. Do you use extra virgin olive oil a lot, Leslie?
That's the only thing I use in my kitchen.
I really think it brings out the vegetables really well.
Mild flavor.
It's got a mild flavor. If you don't have an extra virgin olive oil, you can use another, heart healthy oil that you have at your house, but I really think it brings out the flavor of the vegetables a lot, and it has a nice sort of fresh flavor. So I've just got a big skillet. Mine is not non-stick. It doesn't have to be non-stick. If that's what you have at your house, though, that is fine. And I'm just going to heat it up. Yes, that is definitely on. And get a little bit of olive oil in the pan so we can start our vegetables. Do you mind putting yours in there?
No.
Here we are. Perfect.
Ah, smells so good
It
already.
Does. It makes everything smell like spring. Now these are by the way, seasonal in the spring and the early summer. So that's why later on in the summer you might have to use some of those scallions or onions because you won't find leeks all year round.
There we go.
I'm going to put Leslie on leek stirring duty because what you want to do basically is you want to sweat them, which means that you don't really want to cook them on super high heat. You just want them to melt kind of in the pan and get nice and soft. So she's going to stir them around, and that will help get that process going. We're also going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. Whenever you add salt to your vegetables, when you're cooking them, it draws out some of the moisture, it draws out some of the water, and that makes your vegetables cook a little bit quicker, and it also keeps them nice and soft. So if you want a soft vegetable, add your salt now. If you want a crunchy vegetable, if you're cooking it for it to have a little crunch on the edge, wait and add your salt later.
All right.
And we'll put a little bit of pepper in there. All right.
Okay. I can feel them melting down already.
You can feel them melting down already. Perfect. I'm going to turn that heat up a little bit with a slower burner. Okay. And then the next thing that we're going to add is something that it is a seasonal vegetable, but in my house I think it's always in season, is a little bit of garlic. Are you a garlic fan? Yes. Garlic, fresh garlic from the farmer's market, it really does taste like nothing else. And you can get it throughout the summer season. When you go, one of the first things that you can do is you can look for green garlic, new garlic, and it has a kind of a sharper taste to it, and garlic scapes. Have you ever had a garlic scape?
I have not.
A garlic scape is actually the flower. When garlic grows, there's a flower that comes out of the top, and the scape is the stem of that flower, and it tastes very garlicky. You can eat it just like regular garlic, and so that's a wonderful thing to add as well. And then later in the season, you get just a regular looking garlic, sort of like this, and you can use that. So we're going to add a couple of cloves of garlic.
It is cooking now.
That is cooking. And if you can see, I don't know if there's a close-up that we can see, when you cook the leeks, they get a little bit greener than they were when we started. That's how you know that they're melting down correctly. They'll get a brighter, vibrant color. So what I'm gonna do, or actually, here, I'll have Leslie do it.
I love the microplane.
She likes the microplane. The microplane, right here, this little fun tool, you don't have to have one, you could chop your garlic up with a knife, but the microplane is a little grater that's sort of like a wood rasp. It's actually what people used when they were woodworking, and then cooks got a hold of it in hardware stores and said, oh, that's a great idea, it makes it so easy. So you just take your garlic and rub it on there, and you have chopped up garlic very easily.
And it kind of gets the juice in there too.
Kind of gets all the juices and everything in there.
Very fine.
Yeah.
So if you have people that don't like garlic, you put this in, they can
They'll
taste
never
it,
know.
but yeah.
Yeah, and notice that we put it in after we put in the leeks, because the leeks sort of protect the garlic from getting burned, because there's nothing like burned garlic. It just doesn't taste quite right.
There we go.
Next thing I've got are some herbs. Now, I've got some thyme. Do you grow herbs, Leslie?
I do. I grow thyme.
She's an herb grower. Do you grow them outside or in a pot?
Outside, I have thyme and rosemary and all kinds of herbs.
Excellent. Herbs are one of the things that, you know, you can really grow at your house. If you think you can grow nothing else, you might be able to keep these alive. You can get the starters at farmers markets all through the beginning of the summer, and then later on, once they're done selling the plants, you can get the actual herbs like these. This is thyme. It's got a great smell. It's in lots of dishes. Think, you know, roasted chicken sort of smells like thyme. It's that flavor. If you don't have fresh thyme, you can certainly use dried thyme, but use much, much less. Use about 1/4 of what you would fresh thyme. So with thyme, it's got such tiny little leaves that I don't even chop it. I just kind of rip it off and throw it into the pot.
Yeah, fresh herbs make your food just kind of pop too.
They do.
And it's such an easy thing.
Here we go. Lots of it in there, and a lot of times you wait to add fresh herbs, like something like a basil, until the end, because they can turn a little black, but this thyme will stay nice throughout the cooking, so it's not a problem.
Another herb that would taste good with this probably is tarragon.
Absolutely.
I love tarragon.
Yeah, you could substitute tarragon, or if you have sage at your house, oregano. Really, there's no food police going to come to your house when you make this pasta. If you make it and you're like, that's not what I have, that's okay. Yours will just be your own brand of pasta, and you'll love it, and it'll be great. Or lemon thyme, or you know, lemon basil. You can even put mint. Mint would be interesting. Yeah, that would be wonderful. It kind of takes over your yard, so you could definitely do that. Yeah, so I'm gonna have her keep stirring, keep melting that. But we have a lot of vegetables in our pasta, and one of the next things that I just love at the beginning of the farmer's market, I personally cook a lot in the farmer's market, and for the first month and a half, 2 months, all I make is asparagus, because it's the first thing that's ready. It's still good right now. It'll be good in this area through about the beginning of, well, the middle of July, and then you have a few asparagus specialists that can even pull it out longer than that. But I like to get this nice, tender, thin asparagus. It comes in white. If you see white asparagus at the farmer's market, that means that it's been covered with something so that it didn't develop the pigment. It still tastes absolutely wonderful. It's a little bit sharper taste. So if you like a milder taste, go with the green. There's also purple asparagus, which is very fun if you see that. Purple asparagus, unfortunately, turns green when you cook it. So unless you're going to eat it raw, you're like, darn, what happened to the purple? But it still tastes just as great. It's really a wonderful flavor, and you can roast asparagus, you can do all kinds of great things with it. But let's say later in the summer you didn't have any asparagus, this pasta would also be great with something like broccoli.
Broccoli would be
or
good.
Cauliflower, something like that. You know, if you have even, I've done this very successfully with zucchini. You know, there's zucchini forever. I think sometime in August is the sneak some zucchini on your neighbor's porch national holiday, because there's so much zucchini, we're just going crazy. But if you have the asparagus, the thing that I like to do is do the snap test. You have the asparagus and you hold up one, and you see where that breaks, right? So now I've got the whole bunch, and I don't have to break all of them. I know this part's tough, that's why it broke off like that. So I just cut off the rest. Now this is still flavorful if you want to use it. I'm not into wasting anything. If you want to use it, you can put it into a stock or a soup or something and then kind of fish it out. Makes everything taste good and got a lot of that wonderful vegetable flavor, but doesn't add any toughness to your dish. So then the rest of the asparagus here, all I do is sort of hold it to the side and give it a nice chop. I even have the tips in there. And just break it up into pieces. When I'm doing this, I try to kind of think about what do I want on my fork, because this is a pasta dish, right? So how big of a piece do I want on my fork?
Yeah.
So then I have boiling water over here, because the last thing that you want to do is have to wait for boiling water, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
What's that saying?
Definitely.
A washed pot never boils, or something?
Exactly. So do you salt your water?
I do.
You do? Okay. I'm a big fan of salting water. Why do you salt it?
To give it flavor, the pasta little flavor.
It does. Really, it's interesting because it's kind of a way to cut down on your salt. If you add salt to your pasta and vegetable water, you infuse a little bit of extra flavor into your vegetables and your pasta, and you don't have to add a larger amount of salt at the end.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's perfect.
All right.
So, would you mind throwing the asparagus in there? Woohoo! Excellent.
All right.
I think I got a pro sous chef today. So we're awesome. Here we go. Okay, so the asparagus goes in there first, and we're just going to give it a couple of minutes to be by itself and cook a little bit. And then I'm going to add the pasta to that same cooking water, because this is an easy dish. This is something you could do on a weeknight when you get home. And I don't know about you, but the last thing I want to do is wash a gigantic sink full of dishes, right? Excellent. Okay, this looks absolutely lovely. You can see, maybe we'll tilt it up a little bit. You can see it's sort of melted and soft, but it's not brown at all. So we've got that there. That will make a wonderful sauce. And then what we want to add to it is, I've got a little bit of vegetable broth. We'll put that in there. Do you cook with broth at home?
I do. I use chicken broth, vegetable broth, mushroom broth is really good.
Yeah, mushroom broth. You can make your own at home. It's very easy to do, even in your crock pot. You put vegetables in a crock pot with some water, and you leave it for 8 hours, and you come back and you have broth, or you can buy it in a box. My only advice there is to look on the back of the box, because there are some kinds that are made from vegetables and chicken and things of that nature, and some that are just made out of bouillon. And I don't know about you, but I can add the bouillon cube myself. I don't need to pay somebody else to add it to the water for me.
And it kind of helps cut down on the fat too if you cook vegetables in the broth.
It really does,
versus a lot of oil.
It adds a lot of flavor. The reason that I like to use it a lot is because it infuses a lot of extra flavor in every step, so that we don't have to add lots of butter or cheese or cream. I kind of think that that's the easy way to add flavor, right? Yeah. Like, anybody knows that if you add a bunch of butter to something, it's going to taste good. But in reality, you don't have to. That's the cheating way. So I like to add broth, and this makes a really nice sauce for a delicate pasta. I have a couple of other things to add. I've got some peas. Now, you can have peas that you pop out of the shell. They're great from a farmer. A lot of them actually will pop them out for you, and you can actually buy at farmers markets already shelled peas, which cuts out a lot of time. Or you could use snow peas. You know, you can buy those from farmers a lot of times, and then that's no big deal. They're a little bit longer, so I would suggest just cutting them in maybe 2 or 3 pieces, so they'll fit on that fork when you're cooking. Or nobody will come to your house and be mad at you if you eat frozen peas. So you can do
what
that.
What about edamame? I know they're not at the farmer's market.
They're not at the farmer's market because they don't really sell soybeans there. Edamame are soybeans. You could definitely use them. You can buy them frozen. They also come in the pod or out of the pod. So make sure you know, if you have a large amount of people coming to your house and you're buying them frozen, you might want to get the ones out of the pod. I have made the mistake of buying them in the pod before and spent an extra, half hour or so shelling them. So just FYI on that. And then the last thing we want to do is add some lemon juice. And I'm going to turn this off actually to add lemon juice to it, because lemon juice is it's an interesting thing. A little bit of acidity brings out the flavor of the vegetables, but if you add lemon juice while you're cooking, it will turn bitter. When lemon juice boils, it gets a little bit bitter. So you want to make sure to turn that off. All these vegetables are fine. They're cooked as much as we want them, and then add your lemon juice.
Okay.
All right. Are you a good lemon juicer?
I do. I think so.
Juicer here. We have the Mexican
and I like your tip. I stick mine in the microwave for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
And then roll it, and you get all that juice. You can get a lot of juice out of it that way, like you just did.
And otherwise you can just roll it like that and roll it around, and that breaks up all those little citrus sort of segments that are in the lemon and makes the juice come out much easier. And you want to put it upside down. Okay. There you go. It's a counterintuitive lemon juicer.
All right. See if I can do this without it.
See how much muscles you have. We have a serious lemon.
It
now,
is
if we were in California,
one.
we could get lemons from the farmer's market. Unfortunately, in this area, we're a little short on lemons. However, you can grow a lemon tree in your house. I have an orange tree in mine. It will work. There we go.
I love lemons and limes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, and now I've got angel hair pasta, and I'm just going to add it to this boiling vegetables here. Angel hair cooks very quickly. This is a whole grain angel hair. You can use a whole wheat. What kind of pasta do you cook with?
Well, I eat gluten-free. So brown rice pasta is an awesome flavor. Really good.
A lot of people haven't tried that.
You can't hardly tell it. The difference between the regular wheat pasta.
Is there a little bit of a texture difference? Do you notice any stretchiness?
It is a little bit tougher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's a healthy option. Brown rice.
We've definitely incorporated a lot of whole grain pastas into what we cook here at the Culinary Center. She said that she cooks with the brown rice. We do a lot of spelt pasta here. This is a spelt pasta I'm cooking with today, which is a kind of wheat from Italy. It's got a lovely nutty flavor, so we like that a lot. Whole wheat pastas and blends. You can even get some pastas made out of chickpeas for people that are interested in high protein pastas. You can get some made out of lentils and chickpeas that are really, really nice, or a blend. And you can boil over your pasta, as we are. So when that happens to you at home, you know that it happens to the professionals. I'm just trying to make you feel better. There you go. Okay, so we've got our sauce sort of half done over here, and our pasta will take just 2 minutes. In the meantime, I'm just going to move some of this out of the way and see if you will help me with the basil. We're going to finish off with a few fresh herbs because, you know, at the end of your cooking, adding a little bit of fresh herbs really pops the flavor, brings out a lot of flavor.
This smells so good.
The basil smells wonderful. I think basil is really the smell of summer. If you don't have basil, you can certainly use something else. Now this would be a lovely place for mint right here. Mint and peas are really good friends, so you could use that. You could use any soft herb. I wouldn't go with something like a rosemary, because I think it's a little bit like pine needles. Yeah, it might stick in your food. I would add that earlier, but something like basil, certainly you can do that. And look, she's got the chefy trick she already knows. We're going to do a little chiffonade of basil. If you say that word and know what you're doing, people think that you really know what's going on.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah, so we just stack up the leaves. This works with anything that you want to make little strips of, by the way. It works with something like a spinach or a sage or any kind of herb that has a big leaf like that. And you want to stack up your leaves like this on top of each other and roll them up. It's kind of like a little leaf, I don't know, cigar or something. So I've got the leaf cigar, and then you hold on to it and you just slice it up into small slices. And the trick to this is holding your fingers like this so that you don't cut them. That's my #1 concern when cutting small things. Don't cut them.
Wow, that really releases the smell.
That does. That will make everyone in your house come running for dinner right there. Okay. So we've got that ready to go, and I'm going to check on our pasta because this is like a 3-minute pasta that we have here. And I have a giant implement here. What do you think of my...
Ooh, nice strainer.
This is a spider strainer, and you can buy smaller versions, but here at the Culinary Center, we don't go small. We go bigger, we go home. So we have the big spider strainer. I just pull out my pasta and the vegetables at the same time.
So you leave it just a little al dente, maybe?
I leave it a little al dente, meaning, do you know al dente means to the tooth?
Oh, okay.
To the tooth. It's an Italian term, means to the tooth, and that means when you bite into it, it's got a little bit of give, right? It's got a little bit of toothiness left to it, because everybody's had pasta or macaroni and cheese or something like that was really, really mushy. Yeah, and I'm not a fan. Are you a fan?
No.
No, of the mushy one. Okay. So what I've done is just pulled that out and put it all over here into my same pot, because as I said, I'm against dishes. So I'm going to put that to the side. Perfect.
Okay.
And we're just going to finish it off in this same pot here that we started with. And then before we go herb crazy on this, I have some greens. I have some arugula. And Leslie was telling me before this that she is a huge fan of arugula, and you're growing some.
I'm growing it, and it's so easy to grow.
Yeah.
And it just grows and grows. I mean,
it grows and grows. It is one of the things that all summer long you can get arugula. It is a very peppery green. It adds a little bite. It's also called rocket, which I think is a very fun name.
Yes, and when you buy the plant, that's what it says on it. Rocket.
It says rocket?
Yeah.
Yeah, rocket. And you know, if you don't like the pepperiness, if you say, I just don't want to eat this, you know, I don't want it to have so much bite, this is a good place for spinach. It's a good place for baby kale. This is a good place to hide greens that you think your family won't eat, that you can toss in here. You could even do some baby Swiss chard.
I was going to say Swiss chard. I'm growing that too, and it's really easy to grow.
But arugula is one of those things that you can really get throughout the summer, into the late summer, and even the early fall from a lot of farmers.
It melts down a lot, kind of like spinach, right?
Yeah, we're going to put this in. It's going to seem huge.
Yeah, it looks like a lot, but
it won't be. So there we go. This is definitely a farmer's market meal. You can toss that with this if you want. That'll be easier for her to do. You just want to toss it in with the pasta so that the pasta is wilts it down. The heat from the pasta makes the arugula wilt into the sauce, and then it mixes with those leeks and the lemon and the peas and all the other things that we've put in there to make a nice dish. And then I always like a little bit of creaminess. So in order to add some of that to this, I think a great option is using some goat cheese. Now, we keep talking about the farmer's market over and over. Obviously, you can buy goat cheese at the store. There's great goat cheese. This is a soft goat cheese that you get in any grocery store. You can also buy it at farmer's markets. We have some lovely local producers that you can really find some nice dairy products, including goat cheese. So go ahead and use those. Now, if you are at your house and you have everything but goat cheese, what would you use, Leslie?
Oh, you could use like a light cream cheese.
You can certainly use a light cream cheese. You could use, you know, even
like a sour cream, even maybe, or yogurt.
You can use like a Greek yogurt or sour cream. A Greek yogurt is a yogurt that a lot of the liquid, the moisture, has been strained out of it, so it's very thick. So something like that, and you could just take that and you toss it through, and it adds a little bit of creaminess to the dish. Now, we made this a completely meat-free meal, but what would you, like if you ever wanted to add a little meat to the dish, what do you think would taste good?
Chicken probably would go good.
Chicken would be great. This is a great place to throw in a little leftover rotisserie chicken. Also, this is a great place to put in a little bit of shrimp. If you have shrimp in your freezer, you can just toss it in. It's very easy. If you notice when I drained this off, I left this pot of this sort of salted, starchy water right here. And what I'm gonna do is to finish off the sauce, we put in a little bit of broth, but we didn't add a lot of moisture because, you know, sometimes you need a little more, sometimes you need a little less. So I'm gonna take some of the pasta water and toss it in there. It's gonna help Leslie out with tossing the pasta.
Yeah, it really looks creamy. Just really for that little bit of goat cheese in there. It's amazing.
And goat cheese is one of the cheeses that's naturally lower in fat. It's creamy and it feels decadent, but it really...
kind of tart.
Right. It adds a little bit of tartness to it. So then the last thing I'm going to do is just add this lovely chiffonade of basil, since now we're chiffonading things, over the top. Just going to toss that in, and then that is completely done. And I think that's an easy weeknight farmer's market dish you can serve your family and feel excited about.
Yeah, and it not too expensive. That's the nice thing either.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, there's a small amount of goat cheese, but the rest of it really pasta and vegetables was
And if you shop the farmer's market, it's pretty affordable. I mean, a lot of people think that it's not.
We didn't mention that one of the things that we wanted to talk about was that all these vegetables, you know, you think when you go to the grocery store that they might be higher priced, but in season, in the farmer's market, vegetables are much, much cheaper. And the hint that I love to tell people is that if you really want a deal, if you want exactly what you want, go at the beginning of the farmer's market at 6 a.m. and get in there and get it before anybody else. If you want a deal, you wait till they're closing, because farmers do not want to haul those things home. They just don't. I don't blame them. They trucked it all the way there and they don't want to take it out, so you can usually get a great deal on whatever is left. And a dish like this is the perfect thing to use all those odds and ends and bits of vegetables you can get for a great deal and throw it in there. Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, I think our pasta dish is pretty much done, and I hope that everybody will give it a try. I hope that Leslie will give it a try. We'll have to make some gluten-free pasta for her. But hopefully this will be a staple in your house. Thank you so much.